PG.
Oh.
Yeah, we gotta keep the PG rating as best as possible.
Especially now that we're back live. So.
Oh, we are.
I
was gonna go further with that joke, but I'm glad I didn't.
We gotta keep the PG rating as best as possible.
Especially now that we're back live. So.
Oh, we are.
I
was gonna go further with that joke, but I'm glad I didn't. I mean.
Alright,
Alright.
so
Sorry, I'll shut up.
I turned the gain up a little bit for in OBS, so hopefully that'll help balance out some of the sound things for our microphone. So, yay.
We'll see how it works out. Before the break, we left. Thomas and Captain Harris were in the captain's quarters having a bit of brandy with their tea. And so we're going to pick back up from there as the drama unfolds. Drama?
Drama?
Is that a good word?
Drama
it's a terrible
sounds
word.
like terrible because it sounds like there's
Llama drama?
There's gonna be some
Drama llama.
Ain't nobody want no drama llamas clomping through.
Cloppity clop, clip clap.
Well, I apologize. Drama is a terrible word to use. I will never use that word. Drama.
No, it is. I mean, that's the correct term for the genre, but. Man.
Yes.
This romantic comedy, this romantic action movie that
There you go.
Romantic comedy of errors. Let's do it.
See, what did I tell you? My cat's back in. What did I tell you? Hi, Yatsia. You can come over here. Hi, baby. I won't pick you up, I promise.
All right.
Excellent.
So, you and Captain Harris have drinks.
Yes.
Pick up from there.
Yeah. So they were talking about the princess and everything like that.
Yep. So
And
2 more days.
Yeah,
Two
two
more
more
days.
days. 2 more days.
Sick.
Can you survive two days of this?
Well, I think I don't really have a choice.
That's fair. Thomas will kind of like look over to the bed and kind of. Do you wanna walk outside?
The captain will follow the look over to where the princess is hopefully sleeping. I'm not listening in. He's like,
yeah.
You know what? I think I would like that.
Yeah.
Great. So, the captain will stand up and head towards
Drift over to the door.
Over to the door. Put his because that's where his grindstone boots are over there. Because he doesn't need to. I'm in the cabin. It's an enclosed space.
Yep.
So, and then he'll get the door for after you.
Oh, thank you. Thomas will shut up, radio. Thomas will follow on out and he'll head out.
Okay. The captain will probably take you to the forecastle, which is the back of the ship.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Can't do a Titanic reenactment when you're on the stern of the ship, right? Right?
You
Yeah,
can.
that's in the front. That's in the front of the ship. They do that, right? I've never seen Titanic.
And so you guys will go up there. The forecastle's got the tiller sails. There's the helmsman there, and then there is the back lookout, which is a beam, a series of beams that are tied together with platforms and grindstones that go out. So like the lookout is on the top of a tower that sticks very far out, but the back lookout sticks out the boat and just is manned by the helmsman, and this allows you to see the underside of the ship. A decent amount of the underside of the ship without actually having to walk around the entirety of the ship, and allows you to see the tiller sails. But it also puts you a good 10 yards sticking out the back end of the boat. And this thing doesn't stay here when the ship goes into Isle. It gets pulled off and put in the storage. So you guys are able to walk out to this little platform 10 yards behind the actual Amber Falls, into a bit of privacy.
Okay. So like
Yeah.
the reverse Titanic.
Reverse Titanic.
Thomas will make a comment of, I bet this is the only time you can get away from her anyway.
Yes, when she's sleeping, she's generally less needy.
Yeah.
Or insistent. Just like hours ago, she was complaining about not being able to go out with Sun Wukong onto the actual crow's nest. I had to explain to her several times that Sun Wukong doesn't like visitors. He's a very private person and does not like to be disturbed or share any of his food. Basically making up whatever I could to get her to stop.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I wouldn't be able to handle something like that.
Oh, it's not so
especially, well, especially keeping up nobility standing.
The key to keeping up with nobility is getting them to think that it was their idea all along.
Right. Yeah.
It's very nice tonight. Today. He takes out his pocket watch. Yeah. Today. It's almost lunchtime in Nahraq.
We'll give it a couple of hours. The sun would set. At least here.
Yeah.
But it is nice. I've always had a thing for the void. That's why I studied it so much.
The captain gives you like this really weird look. Like he wants to say something. And like...
Yes, Jason? I see that you're struggling.
Thomas, I like you.
I
think that you are a fantastic person and a great addition to this crew.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I greatly enjoy your company.
Thank you. I also think you're a great addition to the crew, and I enjoy your company very much.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. This is me. This is not the captain. Hold on.
It is one of those things that the way Jason said this makes Thomas think that, I'm just valued
because you were like when you were like, oh, and that's when he was like, oh, reverse course.
Yeah.
It's not working out.
We're going down to burning.
Oh, the humanity!
Yes.
Do you need me to do this,
No,
buddy?
no.
You got this?
Hold on. I need you to feed
Yeah,
me.
I'll give you a minute. Cassie's struggling more than I thought I would.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. It's fantastic. What I mean, Thomas, is that I like is not really that's not the right word. Like, it's not a good word to use for anything. I don't know why I said that.
Thomas is going to look.
Go ahead. You go first.
Thomas is going to look over his face and kind of give him this look like, what are you going? Where are you going with this type of thing? And I want it. I don't want to roll for it. I do want this to click. He finally kind of like goes, oh, type of thing, with his facial features, and he he takes I'm trying to think of like a best way to describe this. He takes Jason's hand and he kind of like moves a bit closer to him and he kind of looks him in the eye and he goes, yeah, I feel it too.
Oh man, like his heart's fluttering.
Yeah, imagine he's like he's remembering those summers in the fields with Ramon, horseback riding.
Aw, Ramon.
Picking apples.
He's such a nerd.
I'm pretty sure Thomas has got thoughts fluttering through his mind.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. I feel things for you that I have not allowed myself to feel for a very long time. And he like does the whole thumb brushing on his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems that I'm not the only one who had to hide things then.
Kick it up a notch, bam.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Up to 11.
right? So
We're at a 10, go!
okay. So yeah, he reaches out and brushes your face just slightly. And then like has his hand just kind of resting kind of on your chest just like that. Like it's very
Gene.
Yeah, this is just so
You're blanking!
Wait, what's my line?
Yeah. Oh, hold up. It's like that. This may not be the most appropriate. I was getting to it. Just let me stutter for a little bit.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
part of the thing.
You're doing a wonderful job. I'm just gonna wander over
This
here.
may not be the most appropriate thing, but I like this. I want to kiss you.
Then what's stopping you?
He's the captain on his own ship. He can't do that.
It's like, because I'm the captain.
Thomas gives him a smirk a bit, kind of laughs. Because, you know, the best thing about hiding from people is that I don't have to do it in a closet anymore. And he snaps his fingers and they both go invisible.
And there is no need for a physical description at this point in time because there's nothing anyone can see.
Thomas snaps his finger, they go invisible. Kenny G starts playing.
Yay! Yay!
All right. I'm going to take control here at this point in time. Wrest it from everyone. As far as what happens in the boatswain's room, and whatever happens with the captain and Thomas, the audience, unfortunately, you guys are not privileged to know. Because one, the door's closed, and two, they're invisible. So what we will say is that the next day, for some, is probably a personal moment. But the days after that quickly roll by as they head toward the Isle of Nahraq.
Yes, the 2 days.
The 2 days to get to the Isle. It is the evening as...
Yeah.
I'm your camera, there you go.
Yeah, totally blurred out. Sorry about that. It's the evening as you guys are... Sorry, let me rewind. Don't want to skip over something.
You okay there? Did you
Yes.
get a little bit carried away with yourself?
No, actually it was gas.
What a romantic couple.
The Amber Falls, 2 days later, the crew is on full standby and ready as the ship hurtles itself along the trade winds.
Mm-hmm.
The winds itself curl around the edge of Nahraq. The ship begins dropping down from the point where it's at to begin lowering toward the edge.
Yes, to align itself with the water, as you all are going to be breaching the edge going into the Isle. Kodrog, you have been voluntold by the sailmaster after your amazing story to being an assistant on navigating into an isle.
Okay.
Yes, a little bit of a promotion.
And you, as she works with you now, instead of you just like, seeing her working her weird magic and magic, and just knowing what to do, now she's talking everything out loud. And then it's like, that wind's moving too heavily. We need to move this far over to the starboard. We need to turn the tiller sails. So she's like going through.
If we do this at a 15 degrees, it's going to be enough. If we do more than 15 degrees, we're going to head right into the Isle. This is the part where we tell Arthur to yell at them to pull in the lower sail couples and begin and so she starts walking you step by step. Now I'm going to do this, and she's just announcing all of her actions, and part of you can actually pre-see what she's about to do, because it makes kind of sense from your experience. And she's yelling.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just have a question. So, would she usually be the one that calls out to Arthur what needs to be done?
Yes, she would yell to Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur, this is what we got to. Yeah, show.
So when she says, and this is when I would call out to Arthur, I call out to Arthur what she says to me, so that she can't. I get in there and do it.
Get in there and do it.
Show
All
some
right.
initiative.
Yep. Arthur will, of course, look up and be like, aye, aye, but then he realizes who it comes from, and he smiles, and then he turns to the speaking tubes and yells in, "Lower sails! Pull them in now! Get ready for breach! Everyone check lines!"
So, Thomas, you're down underneath the boat. You're helping pull in the lower masts, because there's two that push out of the ship on either side of the hull above the waterline, but they still need to be retracted into the boat. And so you're watching as Gaz, I think Fern, and a couple other of the people who usually do the explosives and fiery stuff, working with him to melt this sticky tar that once they pull in the sails, pull in the mast, those holes get plugged just in case they hit the water line too low. That way it doesn't fill into the ship.
Gaz will look to you and say, "There's another pot of tar beyond that wall. Go make sure that it's heated and boiling so that we can close the holes as quickly as possible. Once we hit that frigid water, everything's going to gum up quickly."
Right.
So you get to see the way that things move, because as the bosun's mate, you need to make sure that everything's being moved back into an appropriate place, because you will need to have that balance going into the water. So you're working with Maria to make sure all of the things underneath are situated where they need to be about before breach. And
as the plugs get pulled or cut, and what it is there's heated oil, but then also in the fire pit, this big metal pit with the warming stones, and the charcoal is being burned. There are swords. They're not really like a sword. They're a blade that's used specifically to cut into this tar. And so with the large masts are jammed in there and sealed where the masts are there, there's tar that's from the plug, so that has to be cut with these special swords that get heated up. They're called plug swords. It's not very creative, I know, but that's what you got. So they're heating these plug swords and they're cutting at the tar that's solidified around the mast. And then the doctor and Nibley come down and they attach themselves into the ceiling area and the ground, and they wrap the ropes around them. And as they begin walking from the front of the ship to the back of the ship, it begins pulling the masts in on these huge pulley systems and runner systems. And then they, with the help of the crew, change these lines around into some other set pattern. And then the two behemoth insectoids walk it back, finish pulling the masts from outside. And at some point, like, one of the mast's yard arms gets stuck, and everybody's like yelling, "Stop pulling!" You know, so they have to make adjustments, and so there's a lot of chaos. But Gaz and the bosun work like a team to keep everything organized, yelling at people what they need to do when they need to do it.
Yep.
When the masts get pulled in with the yard arms, the lines begin drawn in. Inu is outside on the outside of the ship, and he's begins feeding in sails from the same opening before the plugs get put in. And then after the sails Inu's on one side, and of course Larry's on the other. With the assistants, they're running their rigging teams. And then as the sails finally get brought in quickly, you're on the side where the plug looks to the aisle, and you can see the water whipping by. Like, you see a black shape fly by, and it's actually a small school of fish, and you couldn't even make it out until it took a moment for your mind to realize what you just saw. And you're traveling so quickly past the edge that it's magical. You know, it's like almost like a fly spell has been cast on the ship. And then as you're staring out in bewilderment to this moment, Nibley comes by with a giant cork plug covered in tar and just jams it into the hole where you're watching out. And then there's a series of pulleys and hammers begin wedging it closed.
Yes. Let's see what we've got. Oh, what's this one? I'm looking at my... No, not that one.
Not that one? Okay.
This one.
So the plugs get filled, the holes, the ships get pulled in, everything begins getting locked down. The bosun calls you to the second deck to make sure everything, check all cargo, get the cat into the middle of the ship, make sure the cat's taken care of, because when you get to port, you're ditching it. No more cat needed. Did his job. Undead rats.
No, I think this one is the best one. I like that one. Yes. So, everything is being closed. As you're still a good ways away from the aisle when you have this like clear view of the water that's roiling at the edge. Then it's plugged up. Everything's plugged up. They have the tar that's going over it to make sure that everything's sealed in, and then you look and you see they've got the same thing going on the other side, and then it's above decks, making sure that all of the sails are pulled and the void sails are pulled and the sails are getting ready to go out, because at this point it's just Anne using the last of the tiller sails to curve into the water to make the final approach. And with that, would you like to finish the description of them breaching?
Yes. The ship is leaning to one side and all the sails are loose right now, Kodrog, as you and Anne are working the navigation, guiding the ship. The tiller sails, on the other hand, are all open. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the ship, people are crewed and ready to start pulling in the lower tiller sails. And Anne calls you up to the helm decking, which is like a railing, and she says, "Hang on to the helm decking." And she cranks the tiller sails so they point away, and the ship is going at least 10 knots. And for a ship of this size, it's rather fast. Maybe even faster than that because of the way the wind's blowing. And so when the tiller sails get cranked, they get cranked hard, and they catch the wind. The front of the ship begins to pivot, and just the back of the ship begins to swing out wide, and then she begins cranking the sails back in the other direction. You see that she's using the entire time that the sails are catching just a little bit of the wind, just enough so it's like it shifts out, and then she turns them so they're now pushing the ship forward, just the tiller sails. And then as soon as the front of the ship hits, it's like it's like a shockwave rushes down the ship.
Yep.
It is a shockwave that rushes down the ship as like a small collision, and the boat rises up over the edge, slamming into the water on the other side. The whole sensation rides down. You can see the ship bends just a little bit up and then goes back down, and then Anne, without saying, "This is what I'm going to do next," just begins yelling, bring in the tillers now," as the speed drags the ship in quickly.
The speed, the sea current, the gravity
of the aisle, and she turns and she says, "Now, send the runner to the front, full sails," because they're inside the aisle, and the back of the ship is not yet. Someone on the front half needs to be told when to open the sails or put them as taut as possible.
Ooh, by runner, did you mean like an actual person to run and give the order?
Yes.
Could there be a horn call instead, so I can use my horn and signal to do full bow sails?
No, because the edge itself blocks sound. When you're on one side to the other, you can be yelling at somebody and they'll be like, I can't hear you.
All right, well, there you go.
So it has to be a runner.
And there's like there's somebody there who's waiting to do that, right? It's not just grab somebody and tell them to go. No,
it's probably, since you help, there's the other helmsman, and there's you, and then there's... So yeah, she yells at the other helmsman, "Full sails now," and so he runs to he's not far away from the edge, so he yells at this. She yells at him. He immediately runs to the other side, and the riggers begin pulling as tight as they can. And so the ship has slightly turned and jabbed into the aisle. And as it's done so, all the tiller sails are being brought down. She's yelling, "Bring the tiller sails down," because now the front end of the ship has to grab and pull everything in. The back end of the ship can't have any control or any pull, so those sails have to be dropped. And the front sails have to be pulled because the wind on the inside has to drag it the rest of the way in. Otherwise, it's just gonna slide down. It's gonna get all weird.
Yeah, you get the speed, and you can sometimes move in. Like when you're a smaller vessel, you can do it all in one go. But this is a much longer vessel, and so a lot of the times you need to have the bow side ready to do full sails. As even though there's only going to be like one of the smaller sets of sails at the bow that would be able to pull it in, but it's enough to start going. And as the next larger mast for the water sailing goes through, then they're going to do full sails. So so it's like you get in maybe about the first third with that push from the void, and then the rest of the way has to be the sails that are in aisle in order to finish the job.
To the advantage, the winds at the edge of an aisle generally go either up or down and then back into the aisle. They're curved right there at the edge. So it's really hard to get out of an aisle. You have to ram and just keep pushing your way through. And same with the outside. The wind on the outside is pushing away from the aisle. So if you can get part way out, you can get all the way out. If you're lucky, same with going backwards. So once they get onto the inside, it pulls the ship in, and all the masts, like she said, get filled. And then it's back to smooth sailing again.
Literally.
And so, with the breach done, the crew gives a cheer. The captain will wave his hat around to everybody, letting them know it was all good. Anne gives a sign to the captain saying, "Captain, we're ready to set course." And he gives a nod, so she immediately begins. Now that the tiller sails have been all brought down, there's a mechanism. So she grabs this massive lever and she pushes it up. And then this thing rises up out of the deck, and then she grabs another lever and she pushes it up, and that thing connects to the helm. And that's the rudder. Because when you're out in the void, the rudder doesn't do anything but flap back and forth. But when you're in the aisle, it actually helps control the ship. So she connects the rudder. She shows you you already know how to do it. But this is she walks you through her steps, and then she puts the pins in it, and then she starts turning the wheel, and the Amber Falls gracefully begins drifting away from the edge.
Yep.
Nice.
It's going to be another 2 days till you get back to the Bay of Nahraq. Sorry, the Bay of Kadaph.
Yep.
On the day before, the captain calls a meeting of the crew during first shift. So you guys are up doing your thing. It's like, hey, it's close to the end of your shift. You guys are about to go grab some food. And Captain Harris gets up on deck. He blows a horn. Maybe he sees you. He asks you to blow your horn. He says, all hands on deck. All hands on deck. None of the officers show up because, of course, they probably already know ahead of time. This is for the crew. And as you guys are all gathered in front of the forecastle, he steps up. We've had an amazing adventure. It has been a grand
Is this
time.
Arthur talking?
Oh, this is Harris. No, you're right. This is Arthur supposed to be talking.
Yeah.
Hang on. Arthur's voice. We've had a grand adventure, and it has been an amazing time. And soon we will be back in port. Or, what I should say is we'll be back in the bay. Unfortunately, and you can see that when he says that, a couple of people are like, what? You know,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for most of you lots, we are not setting to port. We're anchoring in the bay, and a small vessel will be going on to take the princess back home. For the rest of us, we're on duty until said otherwise. And I know that you're probably thinking, why aren't we going on? Especially you, Larry. I'm watching you. But at this point in time, there's no reason for us to port. Not yet. Not until the princess has given us orders on what we are to do next. All of you are very aware what we have on ship. We were all there at collecting, and we all did really good. But it's been brought to my attention through the wisdom of the captain that we might not be able to dismiss this material so easily in the port of Kadaph. The princess most likely is going to want to make sure that she gets high price for her collection, and if we want our fair share, we're going to want to make sure she gets the most for it. For that, we'll probably have to be seeking out the aids of some merchants. He points toward their familiar dwarven colleague. Maybe even the dwarves will be so lucky to visit us, and then we'll have an easy sell. But dwarves aren't meant to be coming around here for at least another 20 years, so let's not hold our breath. Some of us would like to get paid now instead of later. So for that, we're going to be staying on ship. You can all start your boo-hooing and belly-aching now, but it won't make a difference. I see anyone jump ship, and I'm going to claim you as AWOL immediately. And I'll throw irons on your feet, and I'll make you mop the decks.
I thought you were about to throw irons on your feet and let you swim.
That's a better idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Irons on your feet and let you swim. Oh, hey, this chair will suddenly pop up if I scoot my butt forward. All right.
Say it again.
All right. I know you're all sad about that, but just think of it this way. You're still getting paid. We'll still got a chance to make some money off the capture we have. With that, you'll be returning back to your duties, shifts as normal, but when we get into bay, the domestics will be doubled. That way you don't get too bored. And I can also keep an eye on you. Make sure you don't jump ship and try to swim it. Thomas, Kodrog, come up to the forecastle. You've been requested again. The rest of you lot, get back to work.
Yeah, so I try not to look too proud of myself while I'm going up to the forecastle.
Larry gives you evil eyes.
I know Larry is giving me evil eyes. I expect it.
Larry's giving evil eyes.
Yeah, evil eyes.
Larry giving evil eyes to Thomas as well.
Thomas sticks out his tongue at him as they walk on.
Wow.
Thomas is feeling a little more confident. That's all I'm gonna say.
As you get up to the forecastle, it's not, you get it to the top of the stairs, and the best hushed voice that Arthur can pull off. When the princess goes ashore with the captain, you will be
And
going
the bosun.
with. He probably doesn't need to mention that. He's just, the captain. When the captain goes ashore with the princess, you two will be going with. It has been informed that the princess values your protection, and so the other marines I would be glad to send with were shot down by the Highness.
Ah.
No, the
Very
Highness,
well.
not her Highness. He's not going to say that, the Highness.
Yes.
And he will use his eye rolling too.
Yeah.
While you're about, don't get any wise ideas to run off and play games or catch up with loved ones. Also, the captain's been seriously talking about sending Bassianus on his way because he doesn't do too much, so you might want to talk to him about joining the crew sometime soon. Not that I personally care.
No, of course not.
He
He's a
says with
drinking
a look
buddy.
of disdain.
I would imagine Bassianus and Arthur get along. I would imagine.
They do. That's why Arthur
yeah.
doesn't care.
Yeah.
I just don't fucking care.
Yeah. Thomas will kind of nod and go, I'll see to it that he gets a position on the ship.
It'll be before the first shift tomorrow when we get into bay. So be up before your shift. Probably not even go to sleep. Whatever you need to do. Have your things ready to move. No weapons, otherwise you'll be giving them over to the castle guards when you show up. And you won't be getting them back. I don't know what to
Thomas.
tell you about your spell books and stuff. I don't know how they feel about that.
Thomas just gonna don't take your weapons. Thomas just goes, like in his head, I am the weapon.
Detachable arms. Leave your arms at the door.
And even his spell books, they look like normal journals unless the court wizard immediately points at Thomas and goes, no, I know him. I know his kind, type of thing.
Yeah.
But-
So, I know that in town you're allowed a dagger. Are you allowed a dagger in the castle?
Who are you asking? The game masters? Or...
Yes, the game master as a person knowledgeable enough to hopefully have been aware of this fact.
Yeah, you can totally... you cannot take a dagger into the castle. So, I mean, it just depends. Like, you might be meeting with the king.
Is it an eating knife?
Well,
Or is it a dagger to shoot people with?
It's a dagger. It's a multi-purpose tool.
You know what? At this point in time, the person you should be asking would be the princess, because it's a good impression that you come into the castle with a weapon. That's kind of okay, but you probably should ask what the person who has knowledge of nobility of what's going to be appropriate. To your knowledge, carrying a weapon around town is cool, but kings are weird.
It's okay. I know what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yep.
So Arthur continues to look. Stop doing that, camera. Arthur just looks out at the sea, pulls out one of his rolled cigarettes, then looks back over at the two of you. Well, back to your domestics. We're done now.
Hi, sir. So wait a minute. First shift's over. It's off to cookies. I'm gonna go have some sticky porridge.
All right. You're in gravity, so Enu's dancing on the deck, glad that he doesn't have to stick to things, swinging from the lines. The crew is actually rather happy, although most of the crew is rather happy. A few of them are a bit disgruntled. Larry, of course, is expressing the most disgruntled. Can't believe we don't get to get off the boat. This is dumb. This is stupid. Blah, 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 blah. And everybody's just like, all right, calm it down. Don't say something you can't unsay.
Don't say something that's gonna get you lashes. Come on, Larry.
Don't say something that's gonna lose you your share of this lapis bellina.
Exactly. So
Larry can understand that language.
Oh, yeah, you can. So, is that what you tell him?
Yeah.
All right, make it diplomacy.
I just imagine Thomas being like, oh yeah, it'd be a shame if he got kicked off the ship. Oh, boo-hoo. Like,
it would literally be the saddest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I can use diplomacy untrained, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I got no points in that. So I got a 13.
This is talking nice.
Yeah, I get a 13. If that's not enough, then it's probably because I'm being sarcastic.
So he just
and I want him to lose it.
Well, if you want him to lose it, then your sarcasm comes across and he's like, you're probably right. I probably should. And he walks off and he stands on the edge of the boat, sulking.
Thomas will just lean over to Kodrog and go, well, you got him, just shut up.
The only thing that can shut Larry up, a fortune.
Yeah.
Costs a lot. So, the next morning, its third shift is coming to an end, and you are in your netting, and did you guys get sleep before when third?
Thomas would have.
Kodrog?
Kodrog would not have, because he would have been making sure his dagger was nice and sharp.
Okay.
Excellent.
So as you're hanging out near your bunk, Maria comes walking up to your bunk. Morning, Kodrog.
Morning, bosun.
Boat's getting ready to be lowered into the water. We're going to be in the bay soon. I'm going with gather your things, meet me on top deck.
Aye. I'll, buckle my dagger to my belt, and I don't really have anything else to gather. I'm already dressed and ready, so.
Okay. She makes no other conversation nor exchange, but you definitely see a smile in her eyes as she walks away.
Aww.
She'll walk over to your bunk as well, and touch you enough times to wake you up.
Yeah.
Thomas, wake up, gather your things. The boat's getting ready. We leave soon.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Bassianus will, of course, wake up to this sound. Leaving? What's going on?
I have to escort the princess and the captain back to the kingdom. Believe me, I would take you if I could.
Fair enough. I will, seeing as I now am part of first shift, I guess I should get some more sleep before I have to... What is it I'm going to do today? Who do I see? A job. I have a job.
No, your job was to beat up people for a living for the longest time, so this might be a good change.
He'll give a nod and roll over into his netting. During the time in the void, there are walls that separate a lot of the sections that the netting is pulled tight to. But when you come into aisle, the netting is pulled out so it just hangs. Because that's what you guys sleep in, a bunch of hammocks. Luckily, hammocks, because, you don't sleep on the floors. You can sleep on the floors if you want. Like, Inu totally rocks it out on the floor every time. He doesn't even, he has this little, stone, and then he puts his, blanket over it of the stone, then he sleeps on that. It's, the weirdest thing. And so, you guys get up to top deck. The longboat is being prepared. As the princess is up to, she is dragging her feet around, and the captain's there, the bosun's there, Arthur's there assisting as you guys are getting ready to lower it off the side, and the ship is still gliding, getting ready, so the longboat's going to be lowered into the water while still moving, and the princess makes gesture over to the long white boat underneath coverings, and
aren't we going to take that one back? Seeing as how it's my ship?
Arthur clears his voice.
It is, and the captain is like, it is the Princess Amber's ship until she decides what to do with it, which she may very well provide it to you, Your Highness. But until then, we have to respect our patron.
I want to be a patron. Then I can have all the nice stuff.
Thomas just kind of goes, my lady, you are a princess. You could have so many different things in the world.
But I don't get to have my own ship with my own crew, with my own pretty, beautiful boat. All I have to do is get married.
Maybe you should tell your father that.
Maybe we should get to making sure this boat is ready, Thomas.
Thomas doesn't quite get it, and then he goes, yeah, great. He stands up.
The captain will usher Kodrog into the longboat as Thomas, Arthur, and the crewmen help push it out over to the edge and then begin lowering it through the pulleys. You assist with the guiding of the pulleys because you have a gaff pole that helps guide along the side of the boat. Bam, it hits the water. Rope ladder gets pulled out. Princess gets lowered down by Arthur. Arthur will climb down with the princess hanging onto his shoulders, then put her into the boat. Then he climbs back up. Whole process just to get her in the boat, and then the stuff is already loaded. So it doesn't take more than maybe 30 minutes before you guys are all into the boat. And it's a rowboat.
Yeah.
And the crew people who are going to be rowing are... Raise your hands.
I'm not that strong, but I
Too
can
bad.
try.
You're rowing.
It's okay. Kodrog will take both oars.
No, Thomas will. It's just I'm out of character. Thomas isn't that strong, I don't think.
Mage hand.
Yeah.
There's no little sail to this boat. There's just oars. There are a total of 6 oars to this long boat. So that's 3 people who will be rowing.
Huh.
Yep.
Oh, let's see. There's the
neat.
captain, the princess, the bosun, Thomas, Kodrog. Oh, Kodrog, Thomas, and the bosun are the rowers. The captain's more than capable of working a rudder. I'm sure he can handle this. And then you guys, in the early of the morning, the sun has yet to even come up, begin gliding into the port of Kadaph. Now,
Ooh,
yes.
So, Kodrog is going to take the bow seat in the rowboat because he knows that is going to be an important position for, like, making adjustments while navigating. And he's pretty sure he's the strongest person.
Well, you know Thomas isn't physically strong. You've seen him in action, and you have first-hand experience of how strong Maria is.
Okay, well...
She's probably flipped you a couple times, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so one of them is because I know I'm stronger. The other one because he needs a break.
So, you guys row into the port. It's dark, and so as you guys are pulling in, a man with a lantern comes to the end of the dock, and as you're getting closer and whatnot, you're sailing the flag and whatnot, and the guy's just like shining his lantern over at you guys, and the captain sees that, pulls out his little lighter and mirror, and goes click, 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 back toward the Amber Falls. A bunch of clicking, to which you see clicking come back, and you, of course, you know signal, right?
Yep.
I know.
It says there's someone on the docks, turn the spotlight on them, turn the Fresnel on them. And so there's a response, aye, aye, Captain. And then all of a sudden from the Amber Falls, a beam of light bathes the dock. And you guys can see that it looks like those farmer guys in peasant clothing, has a stick and a lantern.
The old man dock watcher.
Must be just some old dock watcher, making sure it's not some criminal guy who's about to kidnap the princess again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the captain will, at that point in time, make sure he checks his guns, which he has 2 of them. He'll pull his third. Sorry, he's got 3 of them. He pulls his third one out and hands it over to Kodrog in case you need to use this, and he'll stuff it into your gamson and say you can readjust it when we get on dock. Don't let people see you have that. So you guys get closer, and Maria's just like, I can shoot a gun. And he's like, I only have 3.
He's like, you didn't bring yours?
And she goes, well, she doesn't have a gun.
Oh, she doesn't?
Nope.
Maybe she should.
Maybe she
Maybe
should.
she-
Well, if she made enough
Can
money.
Can she use any blades?
Yeah. She probably can use a blade. I mean, everybody can use a knife.
You know,
Thomas?
I would just give her the gun because I'm better with a knife.
All right. Well,
Unless that would offend the captain, because I don't want to do that.
no. Captain Harris be offended by something? No. All right. Maria will reach into your coat to get the gun back, or get the gun out. You guys pull up to the dock, and the guy shining the light is shined by the light. He is actually, offended, like trying to hide from the bright light and everything. As you guys come pulling up, and what's going on? And the captain explains the situation. He's like, "Good sir, you should vacate our premise. I am." And so the guy does. We're just going to speed through this real quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't take more than about 5 minutes of hanging out at the end of the dock before a carriage shows up with an escort of guards. Prior to you guys getting on top deck, a message must have been sent to the castle. He said the princess is thinking, ooh, that's a brilliant. Let's give the...
No. I
I
don't trust that girl with anything.
I'm a good shot. I've shot a rifle before. And a crossbow. At a target.
A carriage with a set of armed guards arrive at the end of the dock. Guards begin moving down quickly to your location. Beautiful breastplates glisten in the night, in the early morning, as the sun's just now starting to come up, so it scatters its orange and green rays across their armor. As they approach, a gentleman comes walking up. Captain Harris, good to see you. He puts his helmet under his arm and extends his gauntleted hand. Princess Violet, I am excited. Please come with us quickly.
Of course.
Actually, he doesn't even say Princess Violet. He says, come with us quickly. And then he points at the guy with the lantern and says, shoe on. And the guards are immediately in his face.
Go on about your business.
Go on about your business. And the guards are in his face. He's like,
No lollygagging.
What's going on? This is my dock. You can't come down here. So, his slight protest, one of the guards decided to give the poor man a quick bath in the morning.
Oh, he could have just said we're
Thomas-
king's men.
Can Thomas step in?
Sure.
Yeah.
FYI.
He'll-
Go ahead.
No, he'll see like the commotion and because this guy's like an old guy, right?
Yeah, probably in his 50s.
Yeah, Thomas will walk up and put a hand between them and go like, "That's not necessary," to the guard, and he'll explain, basically, we need to borrow your dock for so long until necessary. Obviously, this is important, and he kind of gestures at the guard.
The docksman, of course, is pulled back, and the guardsman looks at you with disdain. And from Captain Harris, don't mess with him. That's my mage.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, don't interfere. That's my mage.
And the guardsman will pull back a moment as he looks you up and down.
Thomas flushes and then just does this.
It's my mage.
Quickly, you're taken.
Thomas just gives him a good grin and puts his hands on his hips like, "Damn right I am."
By the way, this dude is big, dark-skinned, muscular, massive plate chest, spear, helm. Looks like he would give you a right ass kicking.
Yeah, he would.
But he gives you way as you guys quickly head down the dock and get into the carriage. It's a nice carriage, as far as you're concerned, but as far as it goes for royal carriages, it's kind of subdued. Quickly, the carriage is drawn by horses, makes its way up to the castle. The gates open in the early part of the morning. This is on the dark side of the castle, so the sun hasn't got to here yet. So you guys are coming into a darkened courtyard. And as the carriage comes to a stop, you guys are in there too. Captain Harris will move over to the door, and when he looks out, he's just looking, but he's still, Kodrog, you see that he puts his hand onto his pistol butt as a guy comes walking up to the door. Sir, it's so good that you've arrived. I've heard word. And Harris looks him up and down, just making sure he is who he is. Assassination attempts can happen. She's a child. It could get bad.
Yeah. No, and so every time I feel or notice him being extra cautious, I'm also going to have my hand on the hilt of the dagger, but have my other hand crossed over it, so it's just yeah, we're just chilling.
Just chilling. This man walks forward, and the captain says, "Steward." And so the steward will nod, "Yes, sir, please." And so they all step out at this point. He steps out. The steward helps the princess out. Does the princess have anything to say to her steward?
Is it her steward?
It's Amber's steward, I should say.
Yes.
We don't even know this man's name.
No, we don't.
Oh my goodness.
My god.
Maybe
We
we
should-
can...
Stewie.
If only I had a bunch of people that were watching us and commenting to name this person.
Right, that would be
Chat,
so
that's
helpful.
you.
We need a steward's name.
Princess Amber's steward is an older gentleman, probably in his 60s, early 60s, who served the family for a very a pretty decent time. So we need a cool sounding name. The family's name is Kadaph, but I don't think he's part of the actual royal family.
Not if he's a steward. He might
That's
be
true.
like some lowly, noble third son,
Twice removed.
twice removed. Yeah.
Butler's son.
Butler's son.
Stuart's Butler's son.
Ooh, man.
Ponder.
Ponder Ambergris. That sounds kind of cool. I like Ponder.
Yeah, I do too. It's neat.
Ponder Butlerson.
Ponder
Butlerson.
Whew, I gotta write that name down.
I like
Congratulations,
that one.
his steward's name is Ponder of Butlerson. Which, by
Good
the way,
job, team.
I've started working on the website. Yay! I've had a lot of
Yay.
free time recently, so I started working on the website, and I'm putting all the NPCs up there, as well as all the languages in the Shadow Dials.
Yes.
My players, I put a link into it, the chat that we use. So, human is not called human. Please look onto the list to figure out which human language that you want to learn.
Oh man.
I know Marseille.
There's Ponder Butlerson.
Ponder Butlerson.
I love it so much.
Because he's the son of a butler.
Yeah.
There you go.
Butlerson.
Butlerson.
But he says it with such a proud tone too. Well, I am Ponder Butlerson.
It's like I was gonna say Reginald, but that's the court.
That's the court name. Yeah.
Sorry, not jester. Magician.
Court wisdom.
Whoa! Thomas would
Court
backhand
mage.
you real quick.
Guards would be running. He called the court major jester.
Sorry, Kodrog doesn't know a lot of court mages.
Deep, powerful
so-
voice from behind Kodrog goes, "You don't expect to live long, do you?"
What was that?
I would imagine, like, as he says the J part, Thomas just covers his mouth and he's like, all right, that's great to meet him. Like, trying to
Yes.
protect him. Like...
Oh, Palmer. We will the next name that we have, we must wait for Palmer to come up with one. That way we can do that. But we will put it in a chat ahead of time so you can see
Yeah.
it.
I typed
Yeah.
and then I realized I wasn't typing in the chat, so sorry about that.
We plan this stuff out, so we'll make sure to be on top of stuff next time, Palmer. That way you get a chance. All right. A lot of things happen. The guards, the steward,
The princess has
Captain-
moved pretty quickly away.
You guys gotta kind of like stay with the captain. Once she's into the hands of the steward, it doesn't take long before the princess. You guys escort. Princess Amber shows up. She's excited. At that point in time, the captain then begins pushing you two guys a bit back as the princess has now showed up to deal with her, the sister, and the happiness and whatnot.
So Princess Amber is actually Violet's half sister. Different mother.
Yeah. Same father, different mother. That's the
And-
same thing with all the children. They all have different mothers.
Mothers don't last very long.
Is it, may I ask, just the king is that type of person to have multiple wives? Or is it that the wife died of unfortunate circumstances each time?
Well, he's only had like 2 wives,
Yeah.
so he's got 2 kids, 2
Oh,
wives.
the way you said that, because he was like, and all the other kids and type of thing, and I was like, oh, does he have like
I'm sure
40 wives?
I'm
Let's
pretty
say that.
sure
Henry
he's got-
Kadaph.
I'm pretty sure he has kids through other women.
Oh, like bastard childs.
Yes.
Or from mistresses
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as it goes for monogamous, no, he's not very monogamous.
Of course not.
And he doesn't get rid of them. It's just the marriage dissolves. Their culture says that if he gets tired of them, they can just get a divorce and move on. She gets a nice annulment, a bit of cash, and a house in the country.
That's fine.
Unless she does something, against the
Dastard.
crown, then she gets beheaded.
Right.
Jesus.
So Princess Amber is actually his eldest child. She's in her she's
Early 30s.
Yes, she's in her early 30s. She was rumored to be wed to several people who all went missing under unfortunate circumstances.
Yep.
great. I love her.
Either that or they were run off. So at 16, her first suitor was run off. Her personality was coarse. At 18, the next suitor was run off, but in the sense that he was a bit more gentlemanly about it. He's like, no, not happening.
Yes.
22, that one disappeared. 24, that one disappeared as well. And it's been a process. So actually, I think my notes probably say differently. I think she's like 28.
Yeah, she's not quite 30 yet.
She's not quite 30
but
yet.
But she's way too old now.
She's way too old. There was a suitor recently, like at 26 or 27.
Yeah.
And again, he disappeared.
Under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah.
So people have kind of avoided now that Violet is getting very close to marrying age, she's kind of been
4 more years
left aside.
Yep.
It's no longer a Christmas cake.
So even though we're kind of being like shunted away from Princess Violet, I'm going to remain very vigilant over her and as close as I can be without provoking like more shunting away.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Harris who's pretty much putting a gap between them to make sure that the Amber has a chance to, hug and show affection to Violet, more than the guards or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not pushed so far like you're out of sight.
Okay.
After a moment, lots of tears in the early part of the morning. Amber rises from her sister, looks over to Harris, and immediately comes over and gives a curtsy and says to him, "Thank you so very much for returning my sister to me. I cannot thank you enough." And Violet comes over to her sister's side, pointing at Kodrog, Thomas, and Harris, and says, "These are mine."
Yes.
Sister, these are the heroes that rescued me. This is Master Thomas. He's a mage. And this is Master Kodrog. He's a hero.
I thought you were gonna go, he's a dwarf. Like,
She would say, I don't see that's beyond her grasp of saying.
Yes.
Yes, you are. All of you are heroes. And my sister has told me that she wishes for a hero's...
A hero's welcome. So we can see Father, and we can see Sir Reginald, Master Reginald.
Which will happen very soon. Most of the castle is still asleep. I cannot express gratitude enough for what you have done. Please, let's plan for some food, some drink. You have been on a long journey, and I am sure that you are very tired. I have so very much to hear from you. And she turns to Harris and says, "We have so much to talk about." And Harris goes, "Oh, yes."
Yes, we have much more than you realize.
Do we need to have private conversations now?
It would be preferred.
She says, "The Eastern study is always open and has the most light this part of the morning. Please, let us retire there." She'll turn to the steward and say, "Gather a banquet-like breakfast and bring it to the Eastern study." And he give a nod, "Yes, m'lady." And then he turns and heads off. And there are no escorts of guards, by the way. No guards hanging out. There's like some at the end of the hall. There's some over there.
Yeah.
So you guys get a chance to go to the Eastern study. Captain Harris and the princess will convene quietly into one side of the study, while the steward is bringing in a whole bunch of like weird cakes. There's like a cake with like fruit in the middle of it. I don't know. Do we have the time for it?
It's 7:30.
Yeah, I think we should.
I don't like saying that things just happen.
I know you don't, but at the same time, I'm thinking time. Fair enough. You know what? We'll make it so that this part is where we're going to come to an end, and the next part after that, we're not going to.
Okay.
We'll get to that next same session. So yes. So instead
that
of them
moment when the two GMs go, "Should we bring in the dragon now or later?"
Yeah.
It's going too smoothly.
All right. So Fair enough. Instead of having like a private conversation with one side of the study, there's a table in which everybody comes and sits down to, and on the little side tables nearby, coffee, tea, cigarettes, pipe weed, breakfast sandwiches. The steward and a collection of people will come in, but in the meantime, other than bathing you guys in some deliciousness, the princess will have a sit down and the conversation will start. Like, so what's going on?
Well, first, we have acquired several items from Violet's captives that will need to be decided upon. Who they belong to. Should we sell them?
Well, I mean, anything we can found is probably worth enough to bother with, right, Captain?
If you would prefer, I can hand out those prizes at your leisure, or at your will.
Of course. I mean, what possibly could you have found? And this is by and far private. There is nobody in the room with you guys. So unless some sort of magical event is taking place, there seems to be no spying going on.
So he's like, but that's not the only matter we need to discuss. And so you see him reach into his coat pocket and pull out a
Whalestone.
Yeah. Well, it would be in a container and set it down because, you don't want to, like, waste it by getting it rubbed on something.
Yeah.
So and set it down, about, like, a golf ball size piece of ambergris in a container, in a glass.
She will stare at it for a moment and in awe, and when I say private, the steward is in the room. So it's not just you guys and Amber. This is like her right hand. And she's staring at it in awe, and he goes, "Is that ambergris, my lady?" And she'll say, "Well, yes. Yes, it is. This is an amazing find."
My lady, this is a very small this is an insignificant fraction of the portion that we have on ship.
The steward will stumble and hold himself up to the chair. "Oh my.
Are you all right, Master Butlerson?"
Master Butlerson. Oh.
That is an amazing amount. My old heart flutters." Amber will lean forward and look to it, and she will smell it, and then she will look to the captain and say, "How much more?"
Thomas
did we
would
decide
kind of
like how many like hundreds of pounds we have?
You did. Thomas
did. It was
Thomas wrote it down.
I know there was like almost 8,000 gold pieces worth.
Yeah. So while we're figuring that out, Kodrog has been like stuffing his pipe with some of this royal leaf that they've provided, and like gotten some coffee, and is just kind of waiting for a good point in time to jump in if there's any need to. But
Butlerson will come over and light your pipe for you. Will offer you a lit lighter to light your pipe from.
Oh, yes.
This is his man's job.
Yes.
Raise my coffee to Master Butlerson.
I mean, it's probably like 60 to 100 pounds or something.
I can't seem to find it, but I know that Thomas has it on his books.
Yeah.
The important part, it was 8,000 gold is the rough estimate for the value.
Yeah.
So,
Thomas would show her his books, basically. He'll hand it to Jason first to make sure he goes over it, but it's basically what they found on the journey, because he would have written all that down.
Yeah.
And she will just have like a gasping look like, "What?"
There was a full pod with a bull larger than the Ember Falls, so looks like perhaps they were not they were passing through the trade winds. They don't use them regularly, or else I don't think our find would have been nearly as big.
Truly a blessing from the gods. She turns to the steward and will say, "I was just speaking of that not too long ago. With a bit more financing, things would be going in a different direction." And he gives a nod. "Yes, my lady, you did say that. We were having that conversation in the garden the other day. But my lady, who would we sell this to?" And she leans forward and she picks it up and puts it into her lap. She goes, "No one around here." And then looks to the three of you and says, well, the four of you, because Marie is there. "We would have to go someone far away where merchants harbor. You would have to take it to Spindlehaven." Maria kind of leans back at this point in time and sips on her coffee a little bit, because Spindlehaven is it's a distance away. The captain will lean in a little bit nervously as he looks at it. "We could do that, So,
Yeah, it's like, if you think that Spindlehaven is going to catch the best price, but it's not necessarily a reputable establishment.
She goes, "Well, it's the closest I can think of." She turns and looks to you and looks to the steward. "Could anyone think of someplace closer or maybe more reputable where we could get a better deal?"
Oh, I think that we would get an amazing deal at Spindlehaven. It's just, there's a lot of other things happening.
That's Spindlehaven?
There's no port anywhere closer that you'll get the best price for our haul. There are plenty of ports where you'll get a fraction.
Spindlehaven is where we can unload the entire amount without a whole lot of head turning. If discretion is what you're requiring, Your Highness.
The steward
Or
will
a whole lot of paperwork.
The steward will nod. My lady, ma'am, that is what you would prefer." She will agree. "Discretion at this time would be the most important." She will turn
Sir?
and look out the window, like she's in thought. Go ahead and say if you're going to say something.
Is there any role that Thomas can do to help this situation? Because I don't know anything.
Just like Maria. Maria's just going to sit there
Yeah,
and drink.
Thomas is thinking of basically, like, the druids can't use it, type of thing. Like, he's going through all his past memories, but...
And to remind everybody, ambergris is a key component to making some really awesome smelling perfume.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, like, basically we're trying to find a wholesaler that will then sell it to the more appropriate people.
Yeah. And so Spindlehaven has a lot of business that goes through there. It's just also a lot of illegitimate business, too.
Yep.
Is it like the black market, pretty much?
Yeah.
Like, business just goes through business?
There's no black market at Spindlehaven. Any market is a viable market. As long as you're not fighting in the streets, you're fighting in the pits, that's fine. No bloodshed. Anything can literally go. There's a slave market there. There's a dark magic kind of market where you can buy the more dangerous illegal spells and stuff like that.
But as far as like, we could go to the black market. There is no such thing. It's just market. That's what it is.
Yeah.
This is like, it's all relatively regulated there. It's just, some people are not a big fan of some of the things that they sell.
Yep.
Outside of Spindlehaven, but inside it's like anything, anything goes.
Anything
goes.
The thing is, the statement is, you can find anything at Spindlehaven because everything is sold there. Everything.
Including kidnapped princesses. So.
Yeah, that's where he was headed. All right.
We're going to Spindlehaven.
Princess Amber will turn back from the window. "We're going to Spindlehaven."
Thomas will speak up and go, "I'm sorry, we're?"
I'm not. But my ship is.
Yeah, basically Thomas goes, "Yeah, that's what I thought," type of thing, and it's like his nod and leans back.
Good, because Kodrog had the same question silently in his own head, and then
we're trading one princess for another.
No.
Like, Thomas doesn't mind if Amber comes along. She seems great.
You go in my stead, but in the vernacular, "we" means you as being part of "we," and I am included in that.
Yeah,
the royal we.
I got it.
She will look to you and give a nod. Yes, the royal we. I see that you were educated.
I will bow insultedly.
Thomas just goes, "Oh, you better believe it, princess." And he'll take a sip of his drink.
I don't see a reason to put into port. Gather some supplies, and then head out as soon as possible. I think that's the best choice. And the steward kind of gives a nod, and they turn to Captain Harris.
It'll take us maybe a day to get everything resupplied, but we should be able to stock up enough to head out within the next 2 to 3 days.
That's rather a fast turnaround. I'm fine with that. The most important thing, and she'll lean into the table, looking at Harris directly and say, is that the rumors or the words of what's on the ship do not make it to port.
That is why these are the only members of the crew to have shore leave, Your Highness.
Oh my, the rest of the crew must be so upset with me.
They are not upset with you, they're upset with me.
If you don't mind, Princess, their cutting the spoils should be more than enough apology for lack of shore leave now.
Do you believe so? I mean, the numbers look amazing.
Even if we get half that much, it'll be enough to make them seriously consider retirement.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Well, I hope they don't retire. This crew is really good. You won't retire, will you, Master Thomas?
Not at all. I'm staying on the ship. And he kind of gives Jason a look before he looks back at the princess.
Master Kodrog?
No time soon.
Master Bosun? And she'll give a nod. I have nowhere else I would like better to be.
I will always be your captain.
She'll smile. The steward stops and goes, oh, what a loving moment.
Ponder!
What a dick.
Alright,
No one wants you here, Butlerson.
you guys really like that name.
It's so good!
Mr. Butlerson.
Butlerson. It's fun to say. It rolls off the tongue beautifully.
It does. Alright, so...
That's Master Butlerson to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you guys have come into the end of your conversation, by the way, I'm pretty sure Violet is not in the room at this point in time.
Nope. She is being cared for. Her mother's probably already gone. They're doing they're scrubbing her of all of the filth that's out from the void.
Oh yeah, she's dirty.
She probably still smells of whale.
Yeah.
They're gonna burn all of her clothes because they're not salvageable.
No, all that nice embroidery is gone. So, as you guys are getting to this point in the conversation, the princess begins talking about some of the more wonderful parts about going to Spindlehaven. The captain definitely gets into it. This begins quiet conversation at this point in time. It's his chance to eat. She's like, please eat. We've got lots of food. Drink too. There's brandy over here and some whiskey. And rum. I know how the crew loves their rum. There's a knock at the door.
Is it wrong that my brain just immediately went, say come in, say come in? And I had to silently go, no.
Yeah, the captain was like, yes, oh, no.
Yeah, not my ship.
The steward turns and walks over toward the door. The room has become quiet. You guys have stopped talking at this point in time. As the door cracks open, the steward looks out, and then he speaks with somebody, pulls his head back in. Milady, Master Reginald Volache is here to
Valouche.
Valouche!
Master Reginald Valouche is here to see you and he makes a hand gesture. And she's like, yes, please, let him in. Please let him in. And so in walks our Marseillan of great girth. Man, this guy has put on some pounds. This guy
knows that there's food in this castle and has tried all of it once.
Maybe even twice. Lots of alcohol. He's got like several wine bellies stacked on top.
His cheeks have that permanent flush.
Yeah.
His robes fit him well. They're very embroidered and decorated. And he's wearing a ceremoniously large pointed hat.
Wait,
so
Thomas,
large
did you
that
wear
the
your
point
hat?
I do have it on me.
slightly flops over a little bit.
He's got fuzz, black fuzz, like it's like a big bathrobe covered in embroidery. You guys, this looks like some sort of fancy bathrobe to the non-wizards. It looks like a fancy bathrobe covered in embroidery. He's wearing some fuzzy looking shoes and some slippers and tights. You know, at this point in time, he looks like he just stepped out of the shower, put on a pointy hat, and dragged his ass up here. That's the image
what
you
I'm
need
thinking.
to. Now, Thomas.
Thomas.
Thomas, he is wearing a Grandmastered Wizard's hat. He is wearing robes of the Magi. They're no shit marked robes of the Magi. His robes are powerfuler than you are.
Yeah.
No.
Thomas feels inferior real quick.
Oh yeah,
But also is very proud of himself and his own
he's
skills.
not wearing this dorky looking shit. Okay, so to answer
An
the question,
amazing costume.
he is like myself. He has a mustache, goatee, and beard, but not a full face beard, not a magnificent beard.
Question.
He has a.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
He has a villain beard.
Because I remember, I don't know if it's a Pathfinder thing. I just remember in my first Pathfinder game that usually if you're a sorcerer or a wizard or a mage, if you're high standing of a noble, normally you would have facial hair because it shows that you're powerful and you're important.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing here? Because Thomas has stubble. He just shaves because it makes him look better.
Yeah. Well, as far as it goes for in Marseille, facial hair amongst men is important. Facial hair amongst women is not important.
Well, yeah.
Think of Tim Curry, a fat Tim Curry with white facial hair and thinning hair on the top of his head.
Oh, this image in my head is gorgeous.
So if you've seen The Color of Magic, you've got a really good idea. Just make the hair mostly white and put spectacles on him. So Reginald comes in and he smiles, his great big smile at the room. Greetings all. It's good to... Hang on, I'm supposed to use my old man voice.
Old man voice.
Greetings all. It's good to have a chance to see you again, Princess Amber. And he walks over and he gives a gentle bow toward her, and then he turns and directs himself to the rest of the room. And who might you all be? And he will point his hand to Maria, and she will introduce herself. And then he will step over just a little bit. Being a large man, he has to navigate himself to that side. And you are speaking to Kodrog.
Kodrog, Stromharson. Rigor aboard the Amber Falls.
Good to me. And he's speaking in Dwarven. Everybody's been speaking in Dwarven. Nobody's actually spoken in any other language. And oh, wonderful, wonderful. And he'll give you he'll touch you on the shoulder, pat you a whole bunch, and then he moves over to the next chair, which is Captain Harris. Captain Harris, good to see you again.
Excellent to see you. You look quite well, Master Reginald.
Of course. He moves to the last chair, which is Thomas. And then in Marseille, he immediately doesn't cut. He just breaks into it, and he says, Master Thomas, I am so finally glad a chance to meet you person to person.
Thomas will give him a grin and nods, and he goes, "Yes, the princess has told many stories about you, Reginald."
Are you speaking in Marseillan?
In Marseillan.
Okay.
Wow.
I cannot express my amount of gratitude for returning the young princess, and this is in Dwarvish, to the group. I cherish that young woman very much, as she is heir to the throne of this kingdom, as much as the princess is. Of course, marriage determines that by law. You can see that Amber is like, that's right, fat man, keep talking. You know,
yeah,
she does not,
you are not marrying my daughter, like you're not marrying my sister. Yeah.
Or she just does not seem to disdain the whole, because he brings that whole royal courtship up, and he said, but I am very glad the princess told me that I should seek you all out and have a chance to meet with you and greet you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, as she put it, for helping save her. I was told that you are a great swordsman," he makes gestures to Kodrog, "and you were able to fly a tiny white ship around a whalestone." She spoke many things.
And around the
Indeed.
whales.
And then he reaches out and he puts his hand onto your shoulder and presses in heavily and says, "And I heard great things about your magical feats while out on the ship." And this is, of course, is a dwarven.
Yes, well, I need to be prepared for everything.
"Oh, that's wonderful to be so prepared. Princess Amber, is it quite okay if I pull away Master Thomas for just a moment to have a quiet conversation? Mage business, of course." And Amber kind of gives a nod. "Of course, Sir Reginald. I see no problem with this." And then he nods and cuts into Marseille and goes, "Join me over by the window, please."
Of course. And Thomas will go, "Excuse me," to the others and slowly stand up and walk over to the window.
Amber is paying attention and going back to the conversation with the three of you. But the steward, on the other hand, hawk nose and everything, is watching the two mages walk off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish my story about the last time I was in Spindlehaven. Because that's what I was talking about before the mage came in the first time.
So what did happen the last time you were in Spindlehaven?
Oh, politely speaking, I made quite a bit at darts, and several people felt that they weren't obligated to pay.
And Princess Amber will say, "So did you have to just disarm them or kill them?"
Oh, well, I would just say I disfingered them.
Oh my god.
Such
And
a
then they
rough
paid.
business.
Well, that's one way.
You see that Amber is not put off by the fact you just said you cut some dude's fingers off, but the steward on the other hand is like, "Oh my." You know,
So proud.
When in Spindlehaven, do as the
I
Spindlehaveners
do
do.
not think I could ever
Don't even
survive
nerd.
in such a rough place. "Princess, you would not do well there either." And she's like, "I don't know about
It's
that."
not all rough.
I don't
Well-
know about that. And there's a flashback of her in the bar just like chugging, and there's like 20 pints in front of her that are empty. She's like, "Yeah!" I wouldn't say that. Like,
And we are just an extension of the princess's will. So where we go, she is with us.
always. Even in the middle finger that I cut off last week. Like,
The princess sends her regards. Stab, stab.
yeah.
The princess doesn't jog. Yeah.
So meanwhile, over by the curtains, he comes over and he says, "Do you need any refreshments?"
Oh, is that Butlerson or Reginald?
No, this is Reginald. He'll turn his hand over and a cup will appear, filled with what looks like to be tea, and then he'll offer it to you.
He'll politely take it.
He does the same thing again, and now he's holding a tea as well. He's Princess Violet really expressed to me that you were ready for this, that you were prepared, and that you showed great resolve for the combat and for the things that happened. And I take that to heart, because I see that you are amongst, and he doesn't make gestures toward it, but he says, this crew, you're on this ship. And I want to know, because Princess Amber might not have said this to you, but Princess Violet would be exceptionally happy if you thought about becoming a court mage.
Oh, well. I have in the past, yes. Why, is there an offer or a position opening?
as it is my responsibility, I would easily be able to make that happen for you. I could find you a place at the castle, being the court mage for the princesses. And when one of them ascended to the position of the throne, of course, meaning that I would be out of a job, I would know that a mage such as you, which have
A mage of your caliber.
a mage of your caliber, is replacing an old man like myself.
I'd have to think about it. I have a taste for being on the ship and everything. I'm not your typical Marseillan.
Ship life is so very hard, though. And he sits there and he'll rub his belly and say, life here in the castle is very rewarding.
Oh, I bet.
You can have almost everything as a court mage.
Hmm.
And you...
And you don't have to get your hands dirty.
Thomas kind of like looks at his hands, and they're probably like calloused now, and
Yep, from working the
Dirt.
lines and
Mhm.
swabbing decks, cleaning
calloused
dishes.
cats and all those mage
casting
hands.
spells.
Yeah, your mage hand is so calloused now.
Yeah. Well, from like physical labor, there are times he can't actually cast things, or chooses not to. Through the whole entire year, the first year he was on the ship, he didn't cast anything because the fear of being found out.
Yep.
Yeah, Thomas just kind of tilts his head a bit and goes, "I'll have to think about it."
He sighs. Don't take too long. It's one of these things you want to get in on as soon as you can. I mean, I saw the ship is in bay. It'll be porting soon, and so make a suggestion to you, Master Thomas. You should pick something soon, within the next few months. I mean, get off the ship. And he'll say, Princess Amber, may I borrow your spellcaster for just a brief moment? I will be right back. And, cuts into you guys' conversation. You're kind of laughing and enjoy yourself. And she makes a gesture. And the steward's like, of course, of course. And he turns to you and says, it is a great opportunity. And he holds out his hand. He has no cup anymore, by the way. Like some weird, palming shit, but it's gone. And neither do you.
Thomas was like, "Oh, okay."
Rude.
Yeah.
Finished with that.
Yeah. Holds out his hand to like shake it or to like take his hand.
To take your hand.
Yeah, Thomas will. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the teleport spell goes off very quickly, and you find yourself on top of the castle. The view from up here is shocking at first. And he begins pointing out, you would be responsible for protecting all these people. The royal family, and he makes a gesture over to the castle. Everything around here would be underneath your guidance. He points to it in a distance, and he says, you see that blue building on the other side of the bay? Money I've put aside for a small mages guild. They have some books, it's a library. I've been working really hard to find anyone locally who would want to learn. I think it's a novel idea to start my own university. You could become a headmaster of it, as well as a court mage. Still holding your hand, the whole place disappears quickly, and you find yourself in some rather lavish-looking arrangements. Bedroom, a foyer room, bookshelves, lots of bookshelves. The accommodations here are amazing. You get everything you want. I summon many of books. Money generally is not a problem for me.
Why bring this up when you clearly have everything?
He will look to the carpeted floor beneath your feet. I am old, and ill has come about me. I don't think I have much longer to be about. And I think, though, the winds are changing, and it's probably time for younger blood.
Well, this is quite an honor, then. We have a journey to another port. And when I return, I will have my definite answer. But for now, it's a solid potential of me actually doing this.
He will
There's just
smile.
a few things that I need to take care of.
He'll smile and he'll nod. Of course, of course. Here. And he'll wiggle a ring off his finger, and he'll put it into your palm. And the two of you appear back again in the study. And he'll close your hand. Then we will talk again. And he'll smile, a great big smile. He will, of course, walk out the room.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna teleport anymore. He will
Yeah.
he will bid
Yeah,
adieu to the
spells.
princess and leave. And so, Thomas, you are now holding in your hand this gaudy, large gold ring with a couple of stones in it.
Is it magically? Is it magic?
With you start kind of attuning and feeling for it. Yeah, there's magic in it. Oh man, you gonna make it a spellcraft roll as you stare at it in
Yes,
the light
please.
from the window?
Yeah.
Reginald liked it, so he put a ring on it.
Sure did.
Oh man.
Spellcraft plus 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21.
21. Okay, so it is a +1 ring of protection, so the DC is 15 plus 4. So it's a 19. You got to get a 19 or better. You did that. It is a +1 ring of protection. In the Shattered Isles and in my game systems, Ring of Protections provide a bonus to your AC in the form of deflection and a bonus to all of your saves.
Okay.
So it gives a +1 to your AC and a +1 to all your saves.
+1 to all saves. Wow.
The ring is valued, so it costs a spellcaster about 1,000 gold pieces to make one, and they generally try to sell it for like 15 to 2,000 gold pieces.
Jesus.
Then you tack on the value of the ring, which I said is gold. It's gold with gemstones in it. Is at least another 150. So this ring alone is worth like, I don't know,
A lot.
1,500
Yeah.
gold. You know,
More than we make in our lifetime.
yeah. But then again, you can't find one of these in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically Burgess had one, but
Thomas will slip it on. He'll put it on his ring finger wherever it can fit. Yep, there you go. There you go. I don't have a ring near me, so I can't do the whole dramatic.
He's like figuring out which finger it's gonna fit on.
Yeah,
this guy had
yeah.
some fat fingers, and then you slide it on, and the ring goes.
Oh my god, it's the one ring! It's the one ring!
No, it's got gems.
Pull it off, move it onto another finger. Oh, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Thomas is just like playing with it. But he won't interrupt the conversation that the other three are having. But he does need to have a conversation with Jason soon.
Okay.
We can definitely have that conversation at the next game session.
Yeah.
Or in the interim, because now it is a little after 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I think that this is a good stopping point.
This is an incredibly good stopping point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, we will wrap up. You guys are finishing up your breakfast. So you've met the Princess Amber, you've met the court mage, and so now all you gotta do is say hi to Daddy. Kadaph.
Mm,
And don't screw up and say something you shouldn't or do something you shouldn't.
yeah.
And I just want to point out, not once has anybody asked me to relieve myself of my weapon. So, daggerific.
Daggerific.
Yeah. So
Thomas still has his sword on his hip and his spell books.
yeah, nobody said anything. I mean, honestly, though, there was enough guards around that if you
Okay.
guys decided to get all funky, the mage would just show up and be like, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, disappear away.
The court jester would arrive. It would be a shocking time.
Babooch.
So thank you everyone for joining and spending time with us. We had the past couple of sessions have been super roleplay-erific, so we appreciate you both, Jon and Paige, for putting up some really awesome stuff for
Hell
their
yes.
characters. That's so fun.
Anytime.
And
Sucker for it.
we will be back with the Shattered Isles in 2 weeks. And wow. So lots of fun stuff is happening. I'm excited to be, the first official adventure has closed.
Yeah.
You have successfully rescued Princess Violet. I believe
did it!
that means that there's some XPs or something that has to happen because
there it
you
is.
guys 100% completed the quests.
I gotta get
Ooh, got a
my book out
19.
to
So
figure
we'll
out
have
exactly
to
what
let
that
you
is.
know what that's going to be. And we're going to be starting the next adventure in 2 weeks.
To Spindlehaven.
To Spindlehaven.
What an adventure to sell whale poop.
To sell. No, it's not whale poop.
Whale vomit.
Yeah, it's whale stones.
Dude.
Whale stones.
Not to
Yeah.
mention every single thing else that we have in our arsenal of finding stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have to find out how the daggers are distributed.
Yes. Well, the princess just said not too long ago, I'm gonna let you deal with that shit yourself.
Yep.
My
So
stomach
there's
is
some
yelling
magic
at me.
items that are hanging out. There's that big old feathery cloak.
Oh yeah, and there's that dwarven hauberk that I'm actually still wearing, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I claimed it with my body sweat.
There you
I
go.
don't think anybody
Problem
does.
solved.
All right. So this is we do our pitches real quick.
Yeah. So Max and I, we do original box set stuff. We are taking our Sunday off this week, but next Sunday we'll be back in the Iron Kingdoms. Yay! And where I get to run the game and they get to be adventurers. Right now they're going through a swamp. Actually, they've made it past the swamp, and now they're in
A temple.
a hidden temple of Cyrus, which is the machine goddess, who has made one maze of a temple for these guys to try to get through. And so they finally figured out the elevator boss.
Took an entire game session to figure out the elevator boss.
That was amazing.
Best trap ever.
And so now I think they're finally going to get somewhere, well, on the next game session, so I'm really excited about
Going
it.
to floor number 2.
Floor number 2.
That reminds me of a... I have a mini story that's not important. Continue.
Right?
I will interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And then, after that, I'll be doing Ready Check on Thursdays. And Paige, you got some stuff happening, right? Join the Anarchy's gonna
Yes.
happen, right?
Yes.
It's gonna happen.
This Monday, we are coming back to join the Anarchy after a mini break.
A technical malfunction.
Technical difficulties. Oh, surprise, surprise! If you don't know anything about Anarchy, we usually always have technical difficulties problems. That's why I bring it here. But
sharing.
other than that, which by the way, I should give names and times.
Yes.
That's Monday at 8 p.m. 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
I have to be there at 8. I always say that. 9 p.m. It starts at 9 p.m. We go until midnight, and what we do, chat, is that we take your suggestions, and
And then you get to be in a raffle.
oh yeah, shit.
There
Thanks,
you go.
Palmer. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted by Palmer. But basically, we take your chat suggestions, say, oh, what's behind door number 1? And you could say anything: a Ferrari, bunny, a troll, and a lingerie outfit, anything. And we take those suggestions, or at least the one that we choose, and put it into a raffle. And that raffle we roll at the end of every night, and you have a chance of winning $15 on Drive-Thru RPG. Which that can get you a copy of Join the Anarchy, or it can get you whatever you want to buy. You could also save it up and then join us for the next time we do it, and then get $30 in total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, there is another show that I am on multiple. I am on twice. I've done voice work twice, but that's Radio Free Detroit. Oh my god, I couldn't think of it. And that show currently, I don't know if Palmer wants me to give details, but basically I've done voice work for him once in the past, and I did it currently for a exclusive podcast thing that is with Ziggy. It's with Radio Free Detroit, which you should check that out, which I would give links, but I would I'm gonna leave that to Palmer to give links in the chat for all of that fun stuff. Do it.
Palmer
Ziggy's
is
amazing.
Ziggy the Troll. He does Radio Free Detroit. And Paige, I'm really excited about hearing your most recent episode that's going to drop tonight. It's going to be really awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know how much details I can give away, but it went amazingly, and I think the topic of it is perfect, and I think everybody should listen to it. Other than that, if you want to support Paige so she can live, you can buy my artwork, or, order a commission. You can find me at Instagram, and that's my Discord handle, but you can find me at Instagram at the Ram Queen with 2 N's. Paste that shit. And I do pretty much character designs and anything around that. I've been practicing a lot, and since February just started, and it's February 2nd, Daily Draw February is going on, so you can look at all that fun stuff. Daily Draw February number 1 didn't go too well. It's a sketch. But,
That's okay.
I'm working on it. But yes, if you look over my artwork on Instagram or even on Twitter at the same handle, at the Ram Queen with 2 N's, if you like it, contact me. If you like any of my past work, especially for Inktober, contact me. I will be willing to sell that to you at a price. So, that's my stuff. Help me live. My stomach's yelling at me. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I'm very hungry.
Every moment of it.
Yeah, that's me. That was super long. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
And John?
You
have fun
can
things to share?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the same fun things every other week. So find us, me specifically, come listen to my beautiful voice, the most amazing voice on the planet. Because you won't see my face on the original box set.
That was as great as I do. Good job.
But also, I am still planning to do that Lord of the Rings game that I keep talking about, and y'all have not seen anything about. So stay tuned still for some random, unscheduled Adventures of Middle-earth pre-game stuff.
Fantastic. We will make sure that everyone is informed at least several hours beforehand.
Yeah. Like days, maybe. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. We'll talk offline about schedule.
An hour before they start, you'll get a notification that's being like, it's happening!
5 minutes. Minimum 5 minutes.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everyone for spending time with us. We really appreciate you guys sharing in our story. And we definitely love the comments. Commentary. It's fantastic.
The names Ponder, Butlerson.
Butlerson.
So we look forward to more of that when we come back to the Shattered Isles in 2 weeks.
Yay!
Yay! So,
Bye.
bye. Have
Thanks,
a great
chat.
night.
Love ya.